two gentlemen. Excuse me, Paul, you three gentlemen.
Well, that was a relative statement.
All right, anything before I start, Dr. Flannery?
Take it away, sir.
All right.
Hang on, let me get this thing up and going, I guess. I may need your help, Heath.
Jennifer, am I following you? Because right now, I don't know what this is.
No, Brad's gonna put it up on the big screen, but you can go to that meeting quick view. And click on this thing, click on the gloss. Go to that quick view.
Okay.
You got yours up and going?
Yeah, I was doing that before the meeting. We haven't, you haven't gotten us on yet, or you're not doing this, are you? You did the gavel.
You really have a game.
Look here. Meeting quick.
And she said there is a really good cafeteria, that's why I said, no.
Wow.
Or she may get gas or
And you know,
whatever.
those are anywhere
Yeah,
too,
but there's
so.
a Taco Bell and a Subway there, so that she can
There you
do
go.
that.
all you got. All right, sir.
All right, thanks. I'll get that, Dr. Flannery, send that to you.
Always let me know when you're ready.
We're ready.
Everybody ready?
This should be a relatively simple one. On the agenda that I've got up, it's just the standard financials. I did on bullet point 3, just put calendar year 2021 insurance rate. We got verification on what those were, and next month I'll bring those actual dollars and numbers to you. But it does indicate about a 2% increase. Seems to be pretty standard with what we've seen there. So,
What were we talking earlier?
we budgeted a 5% increase because that's what we were told at the time to
Okay.
expect. So that'll help offset some other things that I'm sure we'll have discussion about at a later date. So
I'm sure you will.
next month is when I'll bring the actual numbers, when I've been able to put them in the grid and review them with the benefits coordinator and everything. So, yeah, we'll just get into the standard financials and the narrative. All this has been posted, of course, online. And I'll just hit the highlights here of the general fund summary for May 2020. And the property tax rate, we see we had 44,000, almost 45,000 received. And notice it says 122,000 more, and that's because there was an accounting adjustment at the trustee's office last year. So last year, we actually had a negative hit on property tax, but again, that was an accounting adjustment at that time that we didn't have this year. Just jumping on down, you can see the other, these are smaller amounts for the other taxes here, pretty standard. And with the clerk and masters at 8862, that was 1179 less than last year, but that was just timing. The big one, though, is the bottom sales tax. And with the sales tax, and remember, this will be from the month of March. And I'm just putting it on the big screen, Mitch, if you don't have to worry about following it or anything.
Hello, Mr. Meredith.
We're noticing a pattern of lateness, just thought we would point that out.
I'm gonna start finding,
Yeah,
He's gonna get dogged.
you can ask my wife about that.
you're more than 15 minutes late, I'm gonna start finding you, and you just hit the fine of it, if you're 17.
Where's the fine bucket?
But this is something positive here, because remember, this May sales tax numbers from March, and with COVID, things much got shut down the last half of March. So we came in only 28,000 less than May of last year. So considering things were shut down, that's a positive development. That wasn't a big hit. I will go ahead and tell you that I've seen the June sales tax numbers, which is from April, which is the month we're holding our breath for. We did probably take a hit, but we're not less than last year. We actually were slightly above last year. Now, had we not have had COVID, we would have had even more. But the bottom line is, we were not negatively impacted by sales tax like we were thinking. So that tells me, I don't have a way to track it, the online sales kicked in, the grocery stores were through the roof. So there were sales that got rechanneled into other places, obviously. My son works at Food City in Gray, and his managers in April told him it was the most profitable month they had ever had in that store. So that tells me money was just spent elsewhere. So that's very positive for us. And,
Yep.
So the business tax next, 68,977. You can see it was 105,000 less than the prior year. That's going to be time. Or it could be that the business tax was an area that took a big hit. One of the two things. Do you know any other details on that, Mitch?
Well, as part of it, and then most business tax, June, you have a big business tax receipt in the month of June, but with COVID, they delayed the filing of those returns to July, so it'll be August, September before we get last year's sales tax, business taxes.
Okay. All right. So jumping down, the next one that we usually, community service fees, obviously this took a hit because school-age childcare was not open for the whole month of March, or excuse me, the whole month of May. Any of the month of May, but April was closed. So 6,500 is what flowed in that line item compared to 40 from the last year, but that's expected, driven by closes due to COVID. Interest earned, still, this one's been very friendly to us this year, the way that the interest has been calculated, so nearly 10,000 more in this line item. This line item will probably be 3 times over budget, which is going to be positive for us this year. I'll have those final numbers with next month's. Did get $1,000. It was a Walmart summer reading. I call it a donation. The paper said grant, but it was really more like a donation, grant donation that we got. And jumping to the revenue royalties, no school bus advertising because school buses were not running. So,
So did we lose that revenue for April and May, March, April and May?
When schools are closed, they don't send us a check.
yeah. And May's one of the months, one of the 2 months we do not get BEP, so that's 0, just like last May. We did get $41,082 from the state for our driver's ed program.
Did that go to pay salary?
No, won't come close.
What's it go to pay?
It will go toward salary, but we've got 4 teachers involved in that.
But it goes toward salaries
Yes,
of
it
that
does.
program. That's,
We had some career ladder funds that came in also. And then jumping on down to ROTC, that was consistent with last year with the reimbursement we received. And to the summary, $1,562,000 in revenue compared to $1,787,000 in May of 2019. So the key differences here, you can see the sales tax just did decrease by $28,000, which is far better than we thought. Business tax, that was decreased by $105,000, the way it lined up last year. Community service fees and school-age child care was down by 40, but interest earned was up. So, and then some other variances of funds received. Property taxes was $167,000 more than May because of that accounting adjustment last year. And then various grants were less. Early childhood grant, other state funds and other state grants, but that was not less for the year, that was just timing. They had some of those come in last May where the timing did this May. So that's the reason for the variance in revenue. May, of course, without BEP, July is the other month where we'll have a low revenue month.
I've got a question. Let me get ahead of you here.
Yes.
I'm on page 5 under other charges.
Okay.
Concrete for Summers Taylor, what was that for? And white lumber, roofing
I'll have
material?
to look that up, but you're gonna probably know that quicker than me.
Concrete,
It
we're
says up
having
there
to pour a
for
bunch of
the baseball
concrete for
building.
propane and electric buses at the bus garage.
Do what?
We're pouring a bunch of concrete around the bus garage for the propane bus filling station and the
This says
electric.
for DB building.
The
Daniel
baseball
owns a
building.
baseball building.
Oh,
Did
that's
did
what
they pour a floor in that?
I thought they were paying for that with other funds.
I did too.
Why would we pay
They
for
may
it?
have coded it wrong, Paul. I mean, was that?
That's from Danny Good's funds that he has comparable.
Oh,
to Josh
excuse me,
Knight.
okay, that was from Danny's allocated funds he has in the budget. That's correct, I forgot about that. Danny has 32,500 and Josh has 32,500.
So they're using that. I thought they had somebody in the community that was building that building for them. That's the only reason I asked. I didn't think he was using his funds. For some reason, and I may be confused on that.
I thought he was gonna pull some out of. Because that was when I was chair of athletics, and my understanding was he was going to pull some out of that fund, and that was gonna be baseball's money, and that was what they were getting, and,
That was part of it.
yeah, and then they were going to bring more in.
That was part of it, and they have done some of that. This was another piece.
In any event, Mr. McLean, we poured a whole bunch of concrete up the bus garage too. That's
Was
probably.
was any of this for the bus garage too, Paul?
No,
Or
this
was
is
all-
all for the Boone
This was
baseball.
all, okay. And the White Lumber Company roofing material, do you remember which building that was for, Paul?
Same one.
Same
All
one.
of it was for
It was
that.
all for that, okay.
Yes, sir.
So that's all coming out of his budget.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, here's, under other supplies, 2,700 to BP and G materials for concrete for the propane tank pads.
Right.
When will that bus be here?
The propane buses have been here for several weeks.
The buses are here.
They are here.
Did Mitch pay for them yet? Did Mitch pay for them yet?
I don't think they, Paul, we haven't, it would come from,
I took the invoice to Willie.
rather than they've been paid for.
Yeah, we were paying for the electric bus, but the county had propane.
Would it be all right if I went by and looked at those propane buses?
Yes, sir. I keep meaning to have one brought by and parked before a board meeting.
I'll go up there one day.
They're neat. Have them start one for you.
I will.
You push a button and it has to go through this whole sequence and it's computer.
Can I drive one?
No, sir, you cannot. And I can't either. So just say-
Can somebody else take me a ride?
Yes, they can if you talk them into it. The one you want to ride in is the electric bus.
I didn't think you'd let me drive one. I just thought I'd ask.
And when is it, it's not coming until,
To my knowledge, it's not even been assembled yet. The factory's still, in Canada, it's still
It's
under
rained down in the short
requirement.
time.
It should have been here last month.
that's what I thought.
Canadians thought otherwise.
Is the regular CDL will allow you to drive that bus, or do you have to have any type of special?
Regular CDL, it's just a bus, a real quiet bus.
Was there any other questions on the expenses, or
Anybody have any?
everything else is pretty standard?
McCoy surveying. That was so we'd know what land was ours and what was the county's?
Yes, sir.
Have we got it plainly marked so we know in the future?
It is marked, and Mr. Patrick replaced the wooden markers with steel markers, so that we wouldn't have to go through this again. And he did a little horse trading with the mayor, so that what little bit of theirs we mow, they're gonna mow a little bit of ours, so it's kind of washed out. It's an equal trade.
Who takes care of what's down below the big wall
That's not ours.
toward the creek? Yeah, we
Well,
own
part
the
of it
creek.
is ours.
Somebody
Well, on that
owns
side.
to the middle of the creek.
Most of that is owned by Washington County government, part of it is owned by the Board of Education, and you'd have to go out there and see, it's odd the way, there's no rhyme or reason to why the border was put where it was. But part of it down to the creek belongs to the mayor, part of it owned by the board, or I say the mayor by the county government.
But the survey goes I was told to the middle of the creek, the whole property.
It's kind of a weird line.
It
I
is,
mean,
and-
it goes along the parking lot and it cuts down over the retaining wall.
Did you do that line?
No, I didn't do that.
You
I don't know.
can, you can touch the
Everybody found
building.
out.
In places, you can touch the school building and reach out and touch county property.
Well, you seem to know a lot about it, so I thought you do it, did you?
Actually, Board of Education's encroaching on
Yeah,
county
right.
property.
Yeah, right.
It is, that wall.
I've got another word for that, Mitch, but I can't say it here in this room.
We are now mowing more grass than I'm comfortable with, but I'm just gonna shut up about it because everybody likes to see the grass cut.
Okay, Nick?
If there's no other questions on the narrative, we'll go to the summary. And pretty simple this month. The expenses were $5,293,812, very close to May of last year, $5,360,000, so actually $66,000 less. But when you're talking nearly $5.3 million, $66,000 difference is virtually identical. So just a little over 1% variance. So pretty standard month. With that, we have the payables report. We'll go to, well, first let me go to the sales tax. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Blow it up on this one. Now, with what I have seen, I have seen June's numbers. June's numbers are right in line. In fact, they're, if I remember correctly, it's slightly more.
It's dumbfounding.
And that is astonishing to us. In fact, 1,180,000 is what I've got noticed from the trustee is what the sales tax numbers are for June, which is from April, and you can see that's 23,000 more than we got last June. I was floored. That is so positive for us because I really didn't know if we was going to talk 100 or 300,000 hit. And what that will do for sales tax this year is we're going to come in at $16 million in sales tax, which is about 300,000 more than budget. So that's just very positive news for us. Now with property tax, we don't know what June's numbers are going to be yet. But property tax, I'm showing we're going, if we do what June last year, we got 187,000 in property tax, which means we're going to come in at 12,698,000 in property tax if last June holds for this June. Last year, and Mitch, we had talked about this, but we literally got 12,809,000 in property tax in FY19. So if the same thing in June happens, last June, we're going to actually have 110,000 less in property tax this year than last year. And that's what the actual numbers show.
Well,
but we don't know what June will show. Maybe June will come in a little higher.
And when you start looking at the full year's worth of numbers, what did the ADA do this last year? Because you gotta remember, your
It was
property,
minimal.
the property tax for the schools gets split.
Yeah.
So,
This year it was minimal. It was only a 0.11%, so 0.11 of a percent, not in our favor, which amounted to 60,000 approximately.
Well, that's part of
That's
that.
not just in property tax, though. You'd only be talking about 20 or 30,000 of that 60 would be property tax. Because the sales tax is a larger percentage, so.
well, but I mean, that's part of the equation. Yeah. But I'm gonna be surprised if your collections, other than an ADA change, come in less than last year. Because Rick said because the trustees for the end of June.
Well, and perhaps June's will be higher than June last year. So where last June's was 187, maybe this one will come in at 250. We'll see. But,
Yeah, because Rick, hit through June 30th, his collection rate was 95.8 for the year compared to 95.5 last year.
we'll see. I'll be curious to see what June property tax is. Again, maybe it'll be more than 187.
Yeah, now, you're gonna be less than budget. You know, collections will be less than budget, but it should be more than last year.
Our budget was 12,849,000.
Right.
What will it come in at? What will it, I mean, how much dollar amount will it come in at?
You got how many, 70, how many pennies, Brad? 75?
74 is what I thought.
74 pennies. In between the time that the budget was set and the pennies were determined, which was in May, okay? A penny was what, $3.28?
328.
When the trustee sent the tax bills out in October, and adjustments were made after people got their tax bills and saw what it is, that penny went to like 3.25. So we lost between the time the assessor gave us the appraisal numbers and the time that we settled the actual billing with all the taxpayers. I mean, it dropped $3,000 per penny.
Are you saying he reduced a lot of folks?
I'm not saying, no, I'm saying that through the state board, through, you know, if there were things that were miscategorized. For example, one year we had a property tax bill that came in, and there's a vacant piece of land that somebody had built a dock on part of it. The stock sends us a tax bill that has a $30,000 improvement on it. Well, you get the tax bill, and you call him up and you say, that's not, you know, that's not our property. It wasn't somebody else, it needs to be on somebody else's tax bill. So they make that adjustment, but that happens after after the budgets are set. So
Okay.
that's what kind of process is. Anyway.
So we lost, you said about $8,000 per penny?
Three.
3,000 per
Per penny, and then so you split that, you split that based on the ADA, which, I mean, you use the 75 pennies and then you split that, so.
That eats into that sales tax.
Well, this is just, on the property side.
Well, I mean that, but good news on the sales tax, but that property tax eats into that.
Well, right, I mean, we're not gonna get to budgeted property tax number, is my point. I mean, we should have more property tax than we had last year, but not as much as what we budgeted. And that's happening across the county, not just the Board of Education.
So, again, I'm going to hope that June's collections are higher than June's last year, just with timing, we'll see. But right now, if the same thing happens this June that happened last June, we're going to be $110,000 less than the budget on property tax. If the same things happens this June that happened last
With
June.
300,000 up on sales tax.
Yes,
We're gonna need it.
In your leisure time, have you looked at the numbers to see, because we closed the school, how much fuel dollars did we save? How much electricity dollars did we save? How much water dollars? That was 8,000 less commodes flushing every day. How much did we save on some of that stuff during the time period the school was closed?
I've got it all except the water and electricity,
Okay.
but it was ate up by the food service payroll.
But we're getting reimbursed at some point for that, right? No.
Not for the general, regular payroll that we did. In fact, we probably are coming out about 100,000 in the hole, or at least with what our savings were. Our savings, the number.
Our savings didn't cover it then.
Sorry.
The savings did not cover
No,
it then.
it covered a little over half of it. For alpha memory, I'm thinking the savings was around 150,000 that we tracked. With fuel, with lack of PD and lack of travel.
Can we go to the county commission and ask them to help us with those funds?
Specifically which funds?
The ones we lost in food service?
The money that we spent that we would not have ordinarily spent
Yes.
because of COVID-19.
Yes.
We actually set up an account with FEMA, and we're turning in invoices to them almost daily. Now, whether or not we'll get that money back, I mean, they can say, yeah, we'll pay that, no, we won't pay that.
But is that not something we should be able to go to the county commission and say, help us with this?
We can. I'm
We're
gonna
struggling
go-
with paying the stuff to keep these two buildings. One till we get it sold, and the other one wait till we're getting to Tennessee.
I'm going
County?
Tuesday for that money. Try to-
Did the mayor go with you to Nashville and say, we'll put some money into this to make it happen?
Yeah.
They ought to help us with some of these expenses that we've got on those two buildings while we're waiting to get them gone.
I'm going to try to get some next week.
So you
That's my
think-
opinion, you all.
You think they'll give you a timeline? Hopefully.
No, ma'am, I don't.
You don't.
I don't think the governor, I don't think it even made it close to his budget.
Oh, I bet.
And according to what I've been told, it's not gonna happen until the guy in Irwin, or Elizabethton, gets 7.2 million approved to redo it the way he wants it done.
He wants almost 10 million to get it like he wants it.
So we're having to sit there and pay the bill to keep it sitting there.
Yeah.
There's gotta be something, some way for us to get out from under that.
You-
Whether it's Mitch writing us a check to reimburse us for that stuff, or somehow we go to them and say, here it is, take it, or we're gonna put it on the market and sell it. There's gotta be a way to force them. Their pockets are deeper than this school system.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
The county commission's pockets are deeper than ours are.
I have no question.
Mitch, do you have a comment on that?
They got unlimited taxing authority.
If you're through with that, I had a question back in expenditures that I looked at, that I'd like for you to look back on, and it's the in-service staff development. It's on page 5. Did we finish with kindergarten screening before everything was shut down?
No, we screened right on up until about 3 weeks ago. I actually did it here in this building, kindergarten and pre-K screening.
Okay. and
We
here-
are not coming in anywhere close to the numbers we've had the last 2 or 3 years. Our guess is that people simply are not going to put their kids in school.
That's what I was concerned about.
We'll be down, I'm gonna talk about this during the meeting.
Right,
We're gonna
well,
be
I
down.
just noticed it on here, but, I just wondered it, and I know, this is my pet peeve, you used retired, teachers. Did they get paid just like we would a substitute of the $100 or?
Yeah,
Good.
no, I thought we paid them a little better. I know it's at least $100 we paid those folks to come in and help
Well,
with
even
screening.
better, okay, good.
We have to look at which ones, are we talking about substitutes, or are we talking?
No,
Well,
they're
no.
actual retired teachers that come in and assist in screening.
They utilize their retired teachers,
Okay.
elementary teachers.
It's at least $100.
Good, good, thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
I knew most of them, so I'm.
Right, oh, they're great,
I think
yeah.
there's another
I did.
You
screening
ready for a motion on the general?
plan too,
Yeah.
isn't there, Dr. Flannery? For
Yeah,
new-
we're-
Month of
For
May.
new people.
And of course, we'll have them walk in the first day of school,
Yeah.
just like always.
Yeah.
We're still not near the numbers we need.
That completes the report on the general fund financial statement. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Motion for approval.
Have a motion for
Second.
approval, have a second. Any other question or comment concerning the general fund financial statement for the month of May? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. That's an awful week. Aye. Did you vote, Mitch? I didn't hear you.
I didn't vote against it.
Motion carries. Next.
What I have now is the federal projects, and of course, there was low spend as far as volume goes. The key things you'll see on the payables report is I guess I'll pronounce this right, probably Maker Robot Industries, that'll 3276. So that's STEM robotic software for David Crockett High School.
Where are you again?
I'm on the,
Page.
on the big screen, I'm on the payables report for the federal projects.
Okay.
And so we went back to doing it as we always did without those liability accounts showing up this time. So-
Thank you very much.
So then the two Pearson charges that you'll see there is Grad Point, the program that's used. That's the portion of the federal projects fund. And then there's a $2,000 charge for youth science, and that was 10 site licenses for CTE that was used. Other than that, just some small amounts that you see. Federal projects was pretty seamless. So, unless there's questions on the expense report or anything, that's about all there is to federal projects for the month of May.
Do I hear a motion for federal projects financial report for the month of May?
So moved.
Have a motion for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. That's a little better, guys. All opposed? Motion carries. Next.
That's the only thing I had. I mentioned we'd bring the insurance actual paper to you next month with the actual dollars on it, so health insurance. Other than that,
Dr. Flannery?
I'm curious about other county government. Did the other budgets, the road and the sheriff and else, did they all shrink their budgets?
According to the paper.
Highway probably did not. The general fund did reduce, because, general fund's using $2 million to fund balance.
They're gonna ask $2 million.
$2 million. To balance that. Phil, to answer your question about the buses, we did And the copies of that check and everything should have come over here, but we wrote a check to Central States, or Finance wrote a check to Central States bus sales on June the 4th for $464,560 for 5 buses.
And that came out of which account?
Out of capital projects, out of transportation.
Speaking of capital projects, we'll be at HEW in a month's time asking for some stuff, and is it gonna be there? Did you have to pull anything out of?
If y'all, yeah, if you're going, you know, the process there is to bring those actual projects
Yeah,
forward and,
and we'll go
you
ahead.
gonna be there next week?
No, well, I'll be there next week because I want to ask for some help with the old Boones Creek buildings.
Yeah.
That's busting up a bunch of money, and I hope you can find some. But in a month's time, I want the board to reauthorize the capital improvements list. Just look at it one more time. We'll have some good numbers on the brickwork, hopefully, the grade, and some other projects, and have you send me and Philip and Brad back down there with some hard numbers and see if we can get out,
Get that work done.
get started on it. And of course, the buses that we'll need this year and the technology.
How many buses we talked about?
I don't know. That's a good question, and I can find out. Well, maybe not. Jared is at Hilton Head, so I don't know if he's got that in front of him.
Well, he had that, would you just, I don't know if I brought it, but the transportation report that you.
It would be in the transportation
Or on
report.
that inventory list.
Right.
You know, you've got the buses that are rolling off, so.
That'd be the best indicator if you've got
So,
that.
yeah, the 2006 year has got 6 big buses on it. Yeah, year of replacement, he's got that on there, so you're looking at 6 large buses. and no
That's
new
not too
buses.
bad. We can get that done for $500,000. Unless she needs a bunch of little buses, and that may be on the list. When I say she, I mean Mindy.
All right, anything else?
Don't have anything else.
Gee, y'all made it easy for me today. If there is no objection, this committee meeting is adjourned. Going once, going
We're gonna be
twice,
5:30 or 6.
adjourned.
6:30.